Alright, this is gonna be a bit of a different style of content than I usually make. I'm doing this because well, a number of reasons, but mainly because I want to try and do something to help people, hopefully. Like, genuinely. I'm gonna be talking a lot about myself, but I really don't want to focus on the me aspect of these things. I want to be able to speak my experiences and tell a story in hopes people can realize, yeah, this is something that people just deal with, and that it's something I might be going through, and that maybe something he said has helped me. Obviously things like this takes a lot of introspection to really think about. Also, I'm just gonna practice live commentary, doing less scripting, being less verbose than even when I write shit down, I'm so fucking verbose. And the third reason, so the YouTube algorithm doesn't forget about me. I'm really not trying to game the system at all. I don't give a fuck about this YouTube thing. As far as trying to make it big, I'm just doing whatever. I also just want to play Death Stranding. I fucking love Death Stranding. Death Stranding 2 is a game that got announced, and I'm fucking happy. Anyways, as the title indicates, this is a content warning. Also, I apologize for my low and soothing voice this time around instead of my usual energy that I like to imagine I portray. It's like 5 in the morning. I haven't been sleeping very well. So that's for a multitude of other reasons unrelated to this. So, I mentioned that I have been going through some mental health troubles. And that much is very true. I have been going through some significant mental health troubles. Probably one of the hardest periods in my life, I would say. But at the same time, it's nothing new at all. It really isn't. So, essentially, what happened is I found out that I had been diagnosed with PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. That's not fun, in the slightest. And that's something I had to slowly realize that I was dealing with for quite some time now. I would say that I had been dealing with this PTSD problem for, oh man, about 12, 13 years now. And I kind of want to talk about how this came about and what the experience was like to give people hope. And yeah, like I mentioned, I know I talked about the content warning once already, but I kind of forgot if I went into much detail. It's going to talk about some fairly dark stuff. I'm not going to go into the specific details, and know that I was going to be fine at the end of the day. I had no intention of following through with any of the weirder stuff I was going on about. And no, not really suicide related. Just to throw the word out there. Just like that, YouTube's gonna demonetize this shit. Even though I don't make money on this anyways. Listen, I always wanted to make a joke like that, even though I'm never gonna fucking monetize this shit. Anyways. Yeah, so that's kind of my content warning for all this hard to talk about stuff. I think I might have to go through this way. Hope there's no BTs. So, yeah, the long and the short of it is, how this all started was some time ago. This was back when I was in... Man, I can't even remember how long ago this was. Sometime high school, early high school. No, it was late middle school. I was a wee lad, a young child who had all the aspirations in the world. But unfortunately, you know, being someone who has a physical disability, elementary schoolers and middle schoolers are very not kind to people who are really, they're really not kind to anyone, especially if you have any kind of not mental, but physical disorder. I mean, hey, mental health disorders as well. Those get picked on a lot. And having friends wasn't exactly a thing that was an option for me. I mean, I had some good friends, but unfortunately, we parted ways at some point, and it ended up being a bit lonely. I didn't really process it at the time. I was like, yeah, you know, I'm still kind of doing my own thing. I'm sad I lost my best friend, and to be honest, my only friend at the time. But I was handling it pretty well, I'd say. I never really thought, like I said, I never really thought about any of this kind of stuff. Like anything could have been wrong with me. I kind of just lived my life and did my own thing. But that's kind of the problem with having things happen to you when you're young. Even if you don't feel it at the time or feel like, oh, I'm perfectly fine. This stuff affects you no matter what. Like, that's just how we develop as, you know, growing up. It's just how our brains work. We're very sensitive to changes. We have to go through certain developmental stages and process things in certain ways, or else we're just not going to come out at the end of the day fine. Now, I had met someone who we had, like, it was the loosest shared interest ever. Like, ever. And I'm gonna say it, as embarrassing as it is, I could not give the slightest fuck. It was basically, I had met this guy on Steam at one point, and, oh shit, right. I forgot I exploded. Whoops, I guess I'm going around. I had met him on a Steam at one point. We got along for like a day, and then kind of didn't talk to each other for a while. Then I randomly stumbled upon this stupid ass shit on YouTube. It was some kind of My Little Pony music video. And I'm like, this seems familiar. I got my Steam friends list, and yeah, lo and behold, he had you know, he was a brony. I said, ooh, my 14-year-old brain is like, we have something to connect with. Let's be friends. And they're far away. And I said, yeah, let's just go with that, right? So I said hi, and pretty much from then on, we became really good friends. We had a whole new friend group, and it was going great. There was something wrong with them, though, and I don't really want to disparage them, because maybe there was something genuinely wrong, maybe there wasn't. But at the end of the day, he was a nice guy and never did anything wrong by me. The only problem was, the thing that was wrong, or we suspect was wrong, is there may have been some kind of underlying mental health condition, some kind of past trauma, because their attitude changed so drastically over... How do you rest again? I can't rest. Their attitude changed so drastically, just on a day-to-day basis. It felt like as I knew them, like, some days they'd be perfectly fine, some days even in a fantastic mood. Other days they'd be so grumpy, like they were so easy to set off, not necessarily in like a bout of anger, but it was kind of like a silent rage. You know, like in a call, and something happens to a topic he's sensitive about, and he just gets really grumpy, like in a very, he gets real sour. How close is he? Fuck. Oh god, is he coming closer? He got so sour. And it kind of took a toll on me in a way, and like that's you know, it's getting into what's going on here. Him being my only friend, I said, you know what, let me help him, let me do what I can for him, not understanding what I was getting into. Again, I was like 13, 14, I was super fucking young. So I basically became like a major emotional support for this guy. I would just listen to him. I tried to give some advice, but most I could do was just listen, frankly. So some days it would just end up with me spending like days, like nights listening to this person. You know, talking from like 6 p.m. to 2 p.m. About like just trying to listen to him go on about some of the craziest stuff possible. That was one that always sticks in particular with me, where they were just talking about how the world is gonna end. Like all of the governments, the national governments, are creating a unified global currency for the new world order. You can probably imagine the things I'm starting to think that they had now. Maybe some kind of, you know, well, I'm not going to say it, because I feel like saying it could undervalue what they might have truly had going on. But there was something going on. No one at this age really thinks about things like that. I am cold as fuck. I was really hoping to not have to edit this, but yeah, whatever. I got fucking cold, which is surprising because the thing that's been keeping me awake is that my entire body's been blazing fucking hot. I wear a paper thin ooh, hiccups. I wear a paper thin sheet. And oh no. Oh no. And I get so fucking blazing hot. It just sucks. So I don't want to kind of take away from what they may or may not have had, but at the same time, this thing was obviously going on, and this is something also echoed by my therapist when I was seeing him. Now, I would get so worried about the day-to-day like changes with this person that it just kind of took over all that I felt. I just started feeling all this anxiety. And in a way, maybe partly I was scared that I would lose what I thought was my best friend at the time to whatever the hell's going on in his head. So that obviously had me worried. And there was a lot of things that also precipitated some of the things I felt at the time. Like one time, oh, was I detected? No. What precipitated at the time was there was one time they just went on a trip one weekend. They came back and let me rest here. They came back and suddenly they were massively religious. Like they would be giving me small little sermons every now and then, and I felt uncomfortable with the changes. Like obviously I supported him, but it was just such a out of nowhere thing with this person that I just didn't, oh fuck, I just didn't feel right. I have no weapons. Oh no, they're going over there, thank God. I'm glad I got up when I did. So that was kind of the major starting point of all this. It got to the point where honestly, every time I spoke to the guy, I just felt this uncontrollable anxiety. It was awful. It literally took, I was just so depressed for years when I was like talking to this person. And like I said, they would go on about the craziest things and be really grumpy, but you know, they never said anything bad to me, so it was never like any kind of abuse. I just was not ready to handle what I got myself into. And it got to the point where I just said, listen, I know I have these feelings specifically regarding this situation. They understood. They're like, listen, I'm sorry. I obviously was not able to put what I felt into these words. I just said I had this anxiety, and I don't know why, but it was definitely related to him. But he at least understood, and he's like, well, listen, man, you've helped me through a lot, and I obviously appreciate that. So if we gotta split ways, then no harm done. You know, know, I still like the guy. I haven't spoken to him since I was like 23, which is, oh, that's coming up on that's getting to be a while ago now. Oh. but that was actually just like a one-off thing that he reached out to me to talk to me when I had really last spoken to him as a friend. Oh man, when I was like 16, I had been dealing with this stuff for several years now. I split off from him, and that was that. I was doing good, you know. Everything in life was going great. And then I had, oh, I forgot about one little detail. Basically, I had a dream, and that dream kind of set me up. It was a dream related to all this situation that I'm not going to go into detail of, but it set me up for being uncomfortable with certain topics. Now, I come to find out that quite a few years later, I was presented with a situation with a group of new friends that I had that pretty much echoed that exact, like, I basically relived one of the worst dreams that I ever had that sent me into like a panic in real life. And naturally, that was kind of the start of that second relationship I had going down to the wayside. It was I did my car get disconnected? Fuck me. It was just, I can't even put into to words how awful it felt to relive one of the worst moments of my life at the time and kind of know from the outset, I don't think this relationship with this person is going to last. I kind of don't think it will, because I recognize these feelings, and I'll tough it out and see what I can do. But I don't know beyond that. I genuinely don't. So obviously we go on with this relationship. Friends, obviously. Like, this isn't romantic or anything. It was just friends. And it didn't get better. In fact, it got worse. And of course, I also told this person about my history. Again, not going into any details. I'm just like, I have this anxiety relating to this event. I don't know why. Oh God, I fucking feel you, Sam.
No one's home.
And it racked my brain because, again, this is at the time like one of my new best friends, and it was a fucking really nice relationship. And they understood, but it kind of, the thing that really got to me was I felt like it got so bad I started being, oh, there it is, really passive aggressive towards him. Like, not towards him, but like towards the things he liked, in a way. I don't know, it just felt like I became abusive, and I mean, that's really no other way to put it. I was horrible to him. Not like I'm not gonna, I don't know. I obviously don't want to give myself too little credit and be too beating myself up. I wasn't that bad. I just basically said some passive aggressive remarks like, oh yeah, you know, you like this, and they were sporadic, but I just couldn't handle how I was talking to them. So I just said, listen, I have to go. I can't keep doing this. This is not how I want to be. This isn't me. This is some, whatever the fuck is going on. And they understood, and obviously we ended on good terms, and I'm glad for that. But, you know, sometime later, after I left, I had gotten better. I had a friend tell me, like, hey, were you friends with this guy? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, he has like a picture over here. Like, he was on something, and I'm like, he was? And then they like sent a picture. And this was one of probably the hardest moments of my, like, at the time, though, probably one of the hardest things. What the fuck? I didn't know you could do that. Holy shit. I had like 160 hours in this game. So, I saw the picture, and my brain genuinely shut down. It felt like the anxiety and all these fears that I had got so wrapped up into the person that when I saw the picture, my brain genuinely shut down. I didn't even process the image I saw. It's a blur to me. I still don't know what he looks like, because again, this is another friend I had over online. I just didn't process the image. I just stood there blankly after work for like an hour, sitting there like with like a half-eaten sandwich next to me. I left, and Oh, thank you, Chinese character man. Japanese shit. Don't listen. It's almost 6 in the morning. I slept like an hour. It's my excuse. Is it Japanese or Chinese? I don't fucking know, man. I'm completely culturally illiterate. Lingually illiterate. Anyways, it was... Why are they out down there? Fuck it, I'll put it here. It was just like not how I want to go about things, and... Right, no, I remember what I was talking about now. It was one of the worst moments of my life, because like I said, I froze up, but then when I finally collected myself, it was straight up like an hour. It felt like more, but it was about an hour I stood there. And when I finally got up to my car, I kind of broke down in hysterics. I was like screaming and crying, and I didn't know it, like I was angry at myself, angry at them, like kind of, well, not necessarily at them, but I was just really angry at the situation, I guess. I was just thinking to myself, what is it about this person that... Oh yeah, all day. What is it about like this person, this situation that is bringing me to this point? I did not understand what was going on. And I was 19, like 20 at the time now. Like and you know, this friendship lasted about 4 years. No, actually, it only lasted about a year, come to think of it. But it put me in such a slump. Like, I was failing all my classes. I was... Like, my job, I was losing my job and all. Like, no, I didn't lose my job, but I was just doing poorly at my job. It was a rough time. Yeah, I put this somewhere. Oh, I guess I'll keep it on this thing. Okay, I put it on the carrier. I selected it. So that was kind of that. That was kind of like the last I had seen of that until much later. The next time it would rear its head is, well, recently. But here's the thing. It wasn't just localized to these few events. I felt anxiety in a lot of other ways. Like whenever friends of mine were moving on to relationships, and meeting new people always made me super anxious. Like in ways that like previously I never really was. I suddenly became a very anxious person about so many things. It took control of my life with how much I was avoiding stuff just out of fear, I guess you could say. Let's see if they have any new packages I can deliver to the other person. And something was up. I still didn't know it at the time. I thought that honestly I was just naturally destined to be an anxious person. And I also had trouble understanding other people's emotions to the point where I'm like, am I autistic? Like, I have these attention problems. I do act kind of strangely. Like, some people might call me a quirky individual, but I definitely am not sane. Fragile. Like multiple. There we go. That's good. I'm definitely not like a standard person in how I go about things. So I'm like, maybe I'm autistic. I don't know. I really don't know. So it was just it was a weird time. I never really got myself tested for that because at the time I was seeing therapists and I never really decided to get that checked out. Good. And I really thought I'd get that checked out, but I eventually would kind of learn the cause of that much later, and this is where a lot of the happy ending stuff starts to come in once I get to the end of this. But I didn't mention at the start, but there is a happy ending to all this, hence why I'm, making this kind of video right now, because I found something that actually kind of greatly worked for me. But that's getting ahead of myself. This kind of left me for a while because I ran away from my problems again. Yeah, I had my anxiety. Yes, I had kind of this lack of emotional connection with people, but no, I was still doing okay, I guess. I was still trucking on life. I came back to school, went back to medical school, got my degree, did my job, everything. And then, last year I had met some new friends. They're some of the nicest fucking people I've ever met. They're fantastic. And a situation came up that just kind of, it wasn't the same as the other situations in the past. But it was very much touching on the same things that always kind of gave me this primal fear, and that's just change. Like, I realized that I would always, if I met someone a specific way and that changed, I would always get really concerned. Like, if I had met someone and suddenly, like I said, they got into a relationship, that's always something that had always affected me. And I don't necessarily think it's because I myself had never been in a relationship, and I was like, it was like the jealousy or envy. Like, no doubt, I'm sure there was a portion of it that was exactly that. But I think most of it is just fear of losing another set of friends after I had lost pretty much all of my friends several times in my life. Like, I've pretty much only been able to keep, like, 2 friend groups for the last 10 years, which is granted very nice. Like I'm super thankful for having my current, what I would consider to be my best friend, and another set of really good friends that I've known for like easily 10 years now. But having to lose so much so frequently when I was already like kind of lonely fucks you up. It just fucks you the shit up. And when this situation came up, I'm like, I don't want to lose people again. I really don't. I had to figure out what's going on. Like, why am I feeling this, at the time, I still didn't know what was going on. All I felt was scared. I was in a panic constantly, super anxious. And this is like a month-long build-up, very slowly, until, like, one major thing happened. And then basically the thing I was afraid of kind of occurred, and at that point I was like, I really just cannot handle this in the slightest at all. And that was kind of when I collapsed completely. Oh my god, I became almost catatonic. I swear to god, I was just laying in bed for days, not doing anything, barely eating. I was in such a panic. My mind was screaming in every possible corner, like, I need something to relax, to stop this pain. And this is kind of where the dark stuff is going to come in, because I was thinking in my head, like, listen, man, the corner store's right there. Just go get some nice cigarettes. Take the edge off. Never smoked a day in my life. My dad's a smoker. Hate that he smokes. I've always hated smoking. Will never smoke, and I didn't. I refused to give in to these urges, but there were things I thought of. Alcohol is another thing that my brain was trying to get myself to do. And again, I know better. So I was like, I'd rather suffer than fall into this trap. It's not going to help me. I know it. Being a medical professional, I've seen what cigarettes and alcohol does. I got this going to be really rough. What's the crouch button? There we go. Be really rough. I'm so scared. It's gonna be really rough to kind of to get around, and it just wasn't gonna help me. So I didn't do that. However, I did try some stuff that, you know, I tried CBD because CBD is safe. I didn't go excessive with it. I very much like kept to safe things. Of course, maybe you could say the combination of things I did, because at one point, just to try and sleep, I took CBD in the morning. Then that night, I took melatonin and Benadryl, but I only took, like, you know, the minimum dose possible, just to get some effect. And it helps, but don't do this. Just don't do this. Do at least one of those things, not all three. I mean, granted, melatonin is pretty safe. Benadryl is mostly safe, unless you're like sensitive to that kind of thing. But just, this is not medical advice. Please don't do this without consulting an actual professional that you're paying. I'm a professional, but just because I make a rash decision in a very tumultuous time does not mean that it is sound advice. In fact, it's very much not sound advice. Where's my monster? Oh, I have a gun. There it is. Excellent. So that was kind of that. It got to the point where I said, I need to finally see a therapist. I need to do this, because, like, I'm gonna be honest, if this keeps going, I'm kind of scared at what I'm gonna do. Like, I genuinely was terrified. I had no idea what was going on. I had no idea why. And the thing that happened was, it was nothing crazy. It wasn't like someone said something to me that was really bad. It was a very, very innocuous thing, a completely normal thing people just do in their lives. Like, just everyone will just, you know, experience things like this. As like just what, you know, people do for fun, or people do for a hobby, or whatever have you. It was something so absolutely normal that just sent me into this doom spiral. And that's part of why I was fucking pissed at myself too. So I found a therapist. Turns out getting a therapist is thankfully easy these days. I pretty much just Googled at like 2 in the morning, therapist near me, to like look up offices to get some numbers. I wasn't obviously gonna call them at 2 in the morning, but footwear is ruined. Let me equip a new one. How do I do that? Shit. There we go. Not what I wanted, but whatever. So, it's really easy to get a therapist these days. There's a couple, like, agency booking sites that like, you know, a lot of therapists work with. And I will also add that don't be afraid to go see a therapist. Talking with someone is one of the most important things you can do at first understanding the problem you have. Nice music. I love this game. It's just something. It's the most basic step you have to be okay with if you're ever gonna seek help. There's no way to get around it without talking to someone about this stuff. So that's why I'll also recommend please don't be afraid to see a therapist. But also, don't be afraid if a therapist you see isn't helpful, and then that's it. Because not all the time will a singular therapist be able to solve all your problems. I had to see 2 therapists, and shit, the first one didn't help me, and the second one didn't help me by virtue of me just taking care of things myself. I know that flies in the face of what I just said, but it might not have been a therapist that helped me, but it was a fuckload of talking that helped me. So, yeah, it's really easy to get their therapist on these days. I'm not gonna shill a specific site, but it's not that hard to find this stuff, thankfully.
There we go.
Did he just piss all over that chiral marker? What a chat. Anyways, so moving on a little bit further, I saw a therapist, and right before my therapist appointment, I started talking to myself out in the open, preparing myself on what I was going to say, and that's kind of what started the journey of all these revelations I'm going to have, where I'm trying to tell him about that initial encounter I had with my friend, and then I realized, fuck, he was crazy. And obviously that was like me in the moment kind of saying something. I obviously don't mean that he was crazy. It's to like disparage him, but he was saying some things, you know, like that cannot be ignored. So I realized that like 20 minutes before my therapy appointment, I talked with him, and admittedly that was probably one of the only things he actually helped reinforce that was good, was that, you know, we were open about the problems, and he encouraged me to look into the history of all this stuff, and just thinking about this stuff to tell him helped me a lot. So after this, I started talking to the friend group that this is all about, and I want to point out, I left that friend group. Like I didn't abandon them completely, but I told them, listen, I have this problem. I have to go. I don't know if I'm going to be gone forever. I don't know if I'm going to be gone for a week. But I made it clear that, like, it had nothing to do with them. In fact, honestly, I really didn't tell them at all that it had to do with them. I wouldn't tell them until much later. And oh god, it is fucking crazy. So I would still occasionally talk with some of the people. Like I would try and go back to talking with them, but it just wouldn't work out. There was something obviously just not working. How did I activate that photo menu? Photo mode. So I'm trying to collect my thoughts again for a second. Yeah, so talking to these people, and they were very open to talking about the problem. You know, they were my friends, they cared, they were curious what was going on. So I did eventually tell them the whole situation, like all the details, as I felt comfortable, and the things they have... Oh, chiral boots, I'll take those actually. Can I have boot clips? Not footwear, there you go. Awesome.
Thanks again.
And they were open to talking about it, but I don't know. I initially didn't interact with them about this. I just needed to I need to give them an idea of what's going on. I didn't even know the full details at the time. Like I just told them about the anxiety and what was causing me the problems in the moment, just so they understand, and that I made sure it wasn't any of their faults, even if admittedly they did feel, you know, guilty as a result of it. But really, what are you gonna do when someone walks up, says all this stuff, that what's going on with them, what they've done recently, and say, oh yeah, it's because of you. I do regret saying it like that. I really shouldn't have, but I don't know how, even now, I don't know how else I could have put it, well, without being honest. And I think that was just very important. I had to be honest, because if I would just kept trying to hide it, nothing was gonna change. I felt like if I was honest, maybe I could if I was honest with them, I could be honest with myself, and I'll finally find some answers. At the time, I didn't, but I just continued to get worse from there. Even with like I saw my therapist, the appointments were so slow, and it really didn't help that I had no insurance. So I was paying all this shit out of pocket. God, American healthcare is so fucking expensive. No, I don't want a monster. I'm gonna have to put a fucking censor bar on there. If I'm editing this video, I'm gonna censor out that monster. Fuck it. You ain't getting a cent from me. In fact, I'm also gonna bleep out this. I'm not. That's gonna be so jarring with this smooth vibe. It'd be funny though. But yeah, I think the biggest thing that really helped me was that even though I told them the rough idea of what happened, as I had in the past, I never... Actually, hold on. I'm sorry for being a little bit confusing here, because I actually got ahead of myself. I didn't yet tell them everything. What happened was, right before my after my therapist, I was just losing my mind. I did need to talk to someone, but I actually initially didn't want to tell them because, again, it was related to them. But I want someone to talk to, and one preferably in this friend group, even though it was only involving like a few of them. And I found one of them. Like everyone had their problems. Everyone really had, like, everyone has their own problems in life. That's kind of a given. That's one thing I've learned as well as I started talking about my problems. Everyone has problems. Some small, some massive. Genuinely, some people seem to kind of be going through the exact same stuff as me, frankly. And that they never really talked about it because, you know, why would they? Why would they want to talk about it? Or maybe they have talked about it and just don't care to keep bringing it up. But I didn't want to keep putting my baggage on people because, as far as I'm aware, the only thing that I'm aware of is I cared about someone, I got burned, and then, or rather, because I cared about someone, I got stuck with these problems that they had. That was kind of my thought process, even though I didn't realize how it was as bad as it was at the time.
Yeah, this is nice. Hey!
Going all the way over here. Ooh, we're walking around. Yeah, so I didn't realize it was as bad as it was. I just kept kind of thinking all I did was talk about my problems. Someone listened to me, or I listened to someone, and then that was it. I'm fucked. And I just did not want to wish that on anyone, so I never talked about my problems. That was probably a major factor of me never talking about my problems. I did not want to worry anyone the same way I got worried, so that I just did not want them to become me. But I had to talk about it. I realized I needed to talk about it. And it was so hard to reach out to one person. There was one person in particular who felt like they did care. And, I mean, all of my friends cared, obviously. But one person who just did not seemed to have a lot going on in their life. So I reached out to them. And by reached out to them, I mean it took me an hour to type one sentence. And this is why I said don't be afraid to reach out to people, because I understand. I totally understand. It is so hard to reach out to someone. Like, even just saying one sentence of, hey, can I talk with you? It took me an hour to type this out, type it in a specific way that, like, you know, oh, fuck. Hold on one second. The alarm clock's going off at 6 o'clock. Alright. I was really hoping this could be continuous, but unfortunately not.
We doing this?
Fuck, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Let me go around like that. That sounds good. Oh. So I was genuinely fighting back tears. No, I wasn't even fighting back tears. I lost that fucking fight. I was crying. I'm not afraid to say this. I would cry a shitload during all this. Because, fuck it, we have emotions. We all cry. I don't give a shit about this stoicism bullshit. I'd rather have someone who's willing to express how they actually feel rather than someone who's willing to bottle everything up and collapse, you know, probably at the moment that they're needed most because, you know, society said, well, you can't express emotions or that makes you weak. Fuck that shit. But I was genuinely, like, crying just trying to type this one sentence because it was so hard for me to reach out to someone. It went against everything I felt of, I don't want to worry people. I don't want to get people involved in my problems. I don't want them to become me. But I knew that for my own sake, I had to do it. Because what if something happened to me and it was something that someone could have avoided by reaching out and they just didn't because they wanted to give me space? That's something I learned. People want to give people space, but honestly, sometimes space isn't what they need. They need someone. And that's a valuable lesson I learned. This is where we're getting into the valuable lesson territory. So I reached out to him. I just said, listen, I hate to put this on you, but do you want to talk? Or I need to talk to you. And they said, sure. They never offered me any advice. They basically didn't, because they don't know what to say about this crazy ass situation. They just know they can at least listen. And that's all I asked of them. I told them they didn't need to say anything. They need to feel bad about not saying anything. I just need someone to talk to. That's all. So I talked. I unloaded the whole thing. Everything, the history of what caused it, all this stuff. And saying it like that, and their responses, like, putting what I felt in a way that is meant to be tangible to human beings, and not me trying to work through something by screaming panicked thoughts at myself, was the singular difference I needed. And I know not everyone can talk about their problems, especially in the PTSD realm. Some people genuinely cannot just talk about their problems, or else they will completely like break down again, and that's totally fine. This is not a one-size-fits-all. That's why I'm hoping someone can be helpful with what I have to say. And as I kept talking, honestly, like I said, they didn't say anything, but I just kept talking and framing, and as I said things in ways that were understandable by humans, I realized more and more that, well, my problems weren't as fucked up. Well, they're fucked up in a different way. Like, I'm not weak. I'm not a coward. I just went through something I shouldn't have, and it caused me such unbearable distress that, of course, it affected my life, in the future. It was an awakening moment, and then I would occasionally try and talk to the individuals kind of directly responsible to this, because again, they're my friends. I didn't want to shun them because of this. I didn't want them to feel that. It's almost, oh shit. I didn't want them to feel that I hated them. I disliked them. I wanted them to know that I still cared. So I still tried to engage with them. And eventually we were talking, and they were very open to picking my brain about this stuff. Like, why did I feel this way about them? What about what they did caused this? And them being willing to poke through it. Okay, listen, it caused a lot of anxiety to me. I was in a panic some of the times, but the things I gleaned from that were genuinely insightful. If you ever, the only thing I can say is that if you ever do something like that, you should at least have a support with you, someone to be there with you, in case you kind of go into a full-on panic, because you need someone if you're gonna kind of expose yourself like that. I was lucky in that it was bad, it just didn't get that bad. There was one night, however, where I had to take a Xanax that I was prescribed. That's another fun thing. It got so bad before my therapy appointment that I had to go to a primary care and just say, and I explained them my situation in the most earnest way possible. I said, I need something for anxiety. I don't know what you can give me. I doubt it's like something long-term like an SSRI, but I need something. I have my appointment with my psychiatrist and psychologist. Is there anything you can give me? And they said, well, yes. Honestly, I still think they were way too open with like readily available to giving me Xanax. Plus, they also didn't prescribe it as needed. They said take it twice a day. I mean, I took it twice a day, anyways, because I had that much anxiety. But oh my god, if it was anyone else, they would take it twice a day regardless, as prescribed. And let me tell you, I got addicted. Technically, like I almost got addicted to it, because when I stopped it after only 3 days, 3 of the 5 days I was prescribed, I withdrawed noticeably. Not bad, but I noticed it. In fact, I actually streamed when I was kind of coming off that stuff. I didn't even realize it. I was like at the start of the stream, like, yeah, I feel really, I feel like kind of weirdly energetic, but also weird in a way that I don't know what it is, because I was also taking so many medications at the time, back and forth. It could have been anything, but then I realized, wait, everything I was feeling was the exact opposite to what Xanax does to you. I withdrew from that shit. And that genuinely helped me understand genuinely helped me understand the physiological like necessity when it comes to addictions.
I have something for.
So while it sucked, it gave me. I'll put my carrier. It at least gave me a good lesson on just how fucking awful addiction can get. But
Thanks for that. Sam.
that's just
Thanks, bro.
getting on those. That's just diverging again from this main topic.
Good work. New order available. Please access delivery terminal.
Let's see what else he has
for
available.
information.
So, yeah, like talking with these people genuinely helped me like come to like the things they pointed out in what I was telling, the stories I was telling, really struck a chord with me, and it felt like I understood my problem way more than I ever did. And keep in mind, this is a time span of a month and a half. Like, my problems started really bad at the start of December, and I feel like I started to recover the second week of 2024. Holy shit. It like I went through one of the deepest points of my life, especially the first week of 2024, like straight up like one of the first days of 2024. I woke up in the middle of the night, and 10 minutes before I woke up, I had received a message from one of my friends, one of the ones that were involved, and they were just like asking they basically wanted to pick my brain a little bit. They had some thoughts, and I said, you know what, let's South Knot City or whatever. No, let's go to the engineer later. They want to pick my brain. And I had literally just woken up, so I did not give my brain time to, set up its defense mechanisms. I went and had that talk, and it was one of the most anxiety-inducing talks I've had ever. Like, I was in such a panic. That was the night that I took the Xanax. Like, I had not taken that for a month now. Because, once I saw my therapist,
Thanks for that, Sam.
and my psychiatrist and got my medications, I immediately stopped taking the Xanax because I don't need it, and I don't want to get dependent on it because I only had so much of it, Plus, they gave me some other medications that admittedly did help. Like, did you know that an anti-histamine and allergy medication is used to treat anxiety and panic attacks? And also, blood pressure medication is used for treating nightmares associated with PTSD? Like, there's some crazy shit out there that actually works, apparently. Now, hey, it could be placebo, and I don't give a fuck if it's placebo, because that blood pressure medication, the only thing in my life to ever knock me the fuck out. I slept so well, I did not have nightmares anymore, because I was having nightmares every day. And the nightmares got worse the better I got, because I was in so much less of a panic. I was beginning to process, things more. So instead of waking up in a panic, I genuinely woke up to the nightmares. I was processing what was going on, and it honestly made it worse. It really did. And, oh god, it is 6 o'clock, and now my screen is brightening because of flux. My eyes hurt now.
Break.
So,
Anybody hear me?
gotcha. So, I know I'm jumping back and forth, but obviously, it's kind of what you get when you're doing this off the top of your head. But I'm glad I mentioned that blood pressure medication, because I didn't have a fun reaction to it, actually. It's doing certain things, I would get really dizzy, and I could tell I was about to pass out. My heart rate would slow really low, my ears would ring, my eyesight would blur. I'm gonna be honest, the way video games portray passing out is actually completely accurate. You just hear a ringing in your ears that drowns out all noise. Your eyesight, it narrows and it blurs around the sides and goes gray, and you just can't see as well. As you struggle to keep your eyes open. But obviously I didn't. I never passed out at all. Well, debatable, I think. I keep hitting back to access this menu. Fuck, I have to go up the... go around. Here. This should be good and safe. And that had me worried. It didn't happen much, but it did have me worried. But what really fucked me up is one day I got out of bed, was making lunch, and I was like preparing dinner, and realized to myself, I'm gonna pass out. I just am. I told my parents, hey, I'm gonna pass out, by the way. And then they called 911. I think I blacked out for like 5 seconds. Everything was fine. I didn't go to the emergency department. My blood pressure came back up really quickly. The reason this happened is something called, at least what I can only assume, it's something called orthostatic hypotension, where it's just like whenever you change positions from laying down to sitting from sitting to standing, if you do it too fast, it can drop your blood pressure. Because my blood pressure didn't get really affected by the medication. It was just changing positions was one of the things that really did it in for me. So that was fun. And then the next night at like 3 in the morning. Actually, wait, no, it wasn't the next night. The night prior, after I had that super horrible anxiety moment, we ended the conversation at 3 in the morning, and my dad came in and was like, "Hey, son, can you take me to the emergency room?" Nothing, not anything serious. It was just like a routine thing that he needed medical supplies that we obviously didn't have, and it was a procedure that needed to be done super quick. So we just went in. I got home at like 6 in the morning. I was fucking out of it, dude. Holy shit. Because I was on several medications that knock you the fuck out. I didn't drive. I just accompanied him. But it was something fucking else, like that week. Oh yeah, and then I think so. The day after, I almost got sent to the ER. I got locked out of my house. I got locked out of my house, and my family went off to like another city for a little bit. So I tried to I didn't want to bother them, so I tried picking my way into my own front door, using a makeshift lock pick I made from the shit in my shed. I got in, but I kind of broke the front door lock. Yeah, that was the worst week of my life. Things like that, and just more things kept collapsing, like my therapist not being helpful and being a waste of time. Oh, sweet Jesus, did they detect me? They might have. But this is where things actually get better. Realized I've been recording for almost an hour. Jesus. This is where things get better, though, because this is when I started to kind of like understand my situation. None of this is my fault. I'm not weak. I'm not. My situation isn't special. I think that's the most important thing. I talked to people who have PTSD, people who gave me advice on how to fix myself, you know, develop a schedule, keep my mind off things, enjoy life. Because one thing I always did is I always rushed through everything so much. I'm always in a hurry to go back to doing certain things and then wasting time doing that. I never really enjoyed anything, like taking the time to really appreciate things the way I do now. And that was one of the things that helped me. And obviously continue to talk about it, just continue to really, really help. I still have that underlying fear that's just uncontrollable. It really can't do much about that. But... oh, no pointer exception. This is a bridge that's been with me this whole time. Let me give him some more fucking likes. Hold on. There we go.
Today's a good day. Thanks for that.
And... man.
This one's for you. Today's a good
I
day.
had some other deep thoughts about my life, like thinking, wow, this other moment in my life is because of this other thing I felt, this other thing that I experienced, that like things I've talked about already more or less, were because of this. Like it all connects back to like this feeling, this moment. It felt like I came out of like this horrible darkness that I finally am that I finally am realizing, man, I'm not broken. I'm not broken. I'm not crazy. I'm not awful. I just got hurt. I never properly healed myself. My dude. Thanks. Like, I'm just hurting and I never got healed. So, realizing that really helped me. And I think being more open with people who I've come to genuinely trust a lot allowed me to understand feelings that I never felt before. Like I mentioned when I said I struggled to really connect with people, if some people, I don't know, happen to look at my old streams and see like, well, he seems like a pretty sympathetic guy. I trained myself to do that. I did not have that like innate feeling. I trained myself to be like, someone says this, I think to myself, that sounds bad. I can't understand how they feel. I can't understand why they feel when they like something, when they hate something, when they feel bad about something. But I understand it's bad, so I have to try and I try to force myself to react accordingly. Is this how someone would feel? I think so. It's kind of what got me through a lot of this stuff. But ever since I started being able to like open myself up, I think the best metaphor that I've been able to kind of come up with is my friends helping me with this whole situation is like I always imagined it like cutting down a rotten tree. It's just this decrepit old thing. It serves no use like as it is. But at the same time, it's kind of a pain in the ass to cut down because it's still a fucking tree. Am I not? I'm confused. Whatever. But at the same time, like, it's still a tree. And getting through all those like outer layers was really hard. But, as they kind of tore open, this should be good. And as they kind of tore open the, that hard exterior, once you get to the rotten part of the tree, it becomes significantly softer, and it comes down pretty quickly after that. And that really is kind of my experience. That really is my experience with this whole situation. It's just, oh lord, oh god, that's fucked up. I regret everything. Ooh, no, I'm loading stuff onto this thing. No. Put on a carrier? Okay, that should be good. Like that's my overall experience. Like that kind of metaphor of it was so hard to make that first move, but once I did, it was so hard to really to keep talking about it. But I kept doing it, and eventually, I softened up to the point where I was in a very vulnerable state. It took I was lucky that they didn't take advantage of how vulnerable my state was and just completely drive home everything that I felt. Instead, they were extremely open and transparent and just nice. Like they were understanding about everything. That was genuinely the most important thing that they could have done, is just listen and be nice. I know it's like the bare minimum, but you never know who people end up being. But and honestly, that metaphor struck so hard with me that I actually ended up drawing that exact thing. I'll probably put it up on screen so you can see the drawing that I made, specifically of them, and you know. I lost my train of thought there. Yeah, it's drawing specifically of them with that metaphor I gave because it just struck such a chord with me. And as I was kind of experiencing these emotions that I never felt, like, you know, I'm almost hitting my 30s and I had never been in a relationship. I'm fine with saying that because it's not something I'm embarrassed with because it's just how life plays out. You can't really be embarrassed that life kind of went a direction that may not be in your favor. But after kind of I had a number of realizations and I was really, you know, feeling better, I not only did I feel like for the first time people genuinely cared about me. Like, people care. I know people care. It's like I know people care about me, but it's like you never felt it. I always felt like I'm walking on a razor's edge of people accepting me and liking me and you know, not wanting to lose them. This can be seen if you ever like misconstrue anything I say. You could probably watch me visibly get uncomfortable and try and like go into extra detail to be like, no, this is actually what I meant and all this stuff. I've done that less, but I've always kind of had that worry. Now it's like, I mean, I can feel people caring about me now. I can feel that like desire to be in a relationship now. Before I always said like, I mean, I'll go into a relationship when I get my shit worked out and I'm good and, you know, I kind of feel up to it and there was no one really ever felt anything for. But then kind of the moment this happened, like shortly after, I started experiencing a flood of completely new emotions to me pretty much. You know, like I said, love, feeling cared for, and just like a level of happiness I had not experienced. And I want to point this out. This is literally the week after the worst week of my fucking life. Like, I spiraled into something so horrible that week that coming out of that was such a goddamn shock. And there's more stuff I realized, but I'm not going to go into too much detail on that one. But that's the story. Like I'm still kind of on that journey of getting better. When I saw my new therapist after I gave up on my old therapist, you know, he kept telling me, look deep inside yourself. Or like why do you find this? It took me a lot to like find this answer he was looking for, and his only answer after charging me $200 fucking is, you gotta challenge your thoughts. I said, how? How? He's like, well, you know, you gotta, if you think this one thing, you gotta think about like, well, yeah, you know, you feel this about your friends ditching you, but I mean, they stuck with you this whole time. They must care about you, right? Think stuff like that. I wanted to punch him in the face. I'm gonna be honest. Maybe PTSD wasn't his specialty. Maybe he's incompetent. I'm not gonna blame him for being bad. I'm just gonna assume he was not equipped to handle my situation, but it did not help the anger I felt at that time. Then I saw a new therapist, spent the entire session with them, explaining everything. And they told me, everything you told me about and everything you said you've discussed with other people, like not that therapist, definitely not that therapist. Everything you discuss with other people, you've done everything for yourself that psychotherapy, which is, you know, traditional talk therapy, can do. I cannot do anything for you. Congratulations, you won therapy. So they recommended that I see something called accelerated resolution therapy, which I started. I only had one session. It was an introductory session, but the idea is mixing hand movements, like basically bilateral sensory stimulation with guided imagery in order to kind of rewire your brain to cope with these things better. As that was explained to me, when you experience trauma, parts of your brain just shut down in order to survive. and those parts of your brain become kind of that were affected become intrinsically linked to that therapy, that not therapy, that trauma. You don't you don't process something fully because your brain just shuts down and it never uses, you know, everything that it can to cope. So this is kind of what you get stuck with. Now, I'm absolutely going to live with this the rest of my life. My only hope is that I can manage it enough to be able to, like, go back to my friends. That's all I care about. I just want to, like, you know, hang out with my friends the exact same way that we used to. If not more, you know, because here's the thing. As I mentioned, when I have a relationship that starts one way, and anything that changes makes me uncomfortable. When I mentioned relationships, but what I didn't mention is if I meet someone, like say in a game, and you know, just random text chat, I would feel uncomfortable if they invited me to their Discord server and we try and like do voice chat. There are people I've known for years who I never voice chat with, to be honest. And at the same time, there's people who I know I've met through voice that I don't text to. Like, I don't keep up with people in real life because I feel uncomfortable texting them and having a long distance relationship when I've known them in person. And the same kind of goes with seeing their face. Like, if I never saw their face before, because obviously, you know, it's kind of how all my relationships tend to go, no one really sends each other their face until, like, years and years. Like, the face is, like, the most like, faces and names are hilariously the biggest signs of trust. In real life, that's something that literally everyone flaunts because everyone has it. You have to use your name and your face for everything in the real world. But online, you have all these pseudonyms. Showing your name and face is like one of the ultimate signs of trust. Because obviously online, you never know who's going to completely fuck with you. But that makes me uncomfortable. Like I said, some friends, my best friend, genuinely my best friend that I've known for 10 years now, and his brother, who I'm also really good friends with, never seen their face. Only until recent. Like, I saw their face once, maybe a couple years back, and then I didn't see it again until like much later. In fact, actually, I don't think I ever seen his brother's face. Ever. Like maybe if I did, it was very recent. And I would have known him for like 8 years at this point, I think. And to be honest, I feel uncomfortable, even though they're like my best friends, and I would really trust them with everything. You know, they were also there to help me, even if they weren't connected. They were an unbelievably helpful support through all this. And even though I trust them with all this stuff, I just felt uncomfortable seeing their face. It was weird. Where's the engineer? Okay, I gotta take a little detour here. Yeah, it's just such a weird phenomenon, man. So that's like everything. I know this is really, really rambly, and I hope something I said can be gleaned off of. And I hope this also wasn't like too making people too uncomfortable, or if maybe I went into maybe too many personal details that really didn't matter. But I felt like I had to tell this whole story to let people know.
Okay.
Listen, this is life. Like these are the things people deal with, and what you're going through isn't special, and that's good. It's good that what you're going through isn't special, because if you're not going through that, I heard something. Because if you're going, oh god. Because if what you're going through isn't special, it means that people know what you're going through, and they can like help you. They understand. You know, they're cures. You don't have the magical, super ultra rare disease that no one else has. You're the first one of its kind. Like this problem's gonna be named after you when you get over it or cure it or die from it or whatever. No, it's a problem people have, and there are so many ways to get around it. You just gotta find someone who knows about it and understands it. Like, mental health is so goddamn important to be on top of. God, this game's beautiful. One of the things I ended up doing after kind of learning these things is I'm not gonna let people hide, you know. Obviously, if they tell me, no, I don't want your help, or I really don't need this right now, I'd be like, okay, perfectly fine. I'm absolutely gonna respect your wishes. However, I have gone to some people who who very clearly have, been struggling with some stuff, and I've just encouraged them to talk. People who trust me to some extent, and gaining their trust just so they can just talk about what they have been through, and in general, just all the people I've talked to, even in the tiny bits of talking about my problems, made them realize their problems to some extent and kind of felt better about it. Having someone to relate to with all this stuff, because again, if you keep all this stuff bottled up, you're never gonna realize how normal how normal being fucked up is. That's kind of a bad way to put it, but having a broken mental state is normal? Oh, this is not good. Well, actually, this is good. Uh-oh. Line? Turn around. I'd like to retrieve the ladder. Open harmony. So, yeah, I really hope this actually helped someone. Because if not, fuck it, I just rambled for an hour about nothing and got buried by the YouTube algorithm because this is completely different from the regular content I do. But, you know what? Like I said, I don't give a shit about this stuff. If by some chance this completely ruins my channel, but it actually managed to help someone, that is literally all I could want. I want people to do better in life. There we go. In any way I can help, and that's the thing that I've realized. At least I've realized about myself. Uh-oh. Oh, okay, cool. It automatically put us back on. That's the thing I've realized about myself. In essence, what I've gone through kind of boils down to every time I've tried to care for someone in my life, I just get screwed over. That's kind of how it's always been. I find someone I care about. I do something good for them because the second time this happened was me doing a favor for a really sensitive favor that required a lot of trust, and it ended up in ruining my life again. And then me caring about more people. And granted, this wasn't me doing anything favor. This was more happenstance, but it just comes back to every time I've cared about someone, it kind of puts me into this spiral of depression because something about caring for people is wrong. Actually, and here's the thing, literally just now, I might have learned something. Maybe that's actually why I've always been so disconnected from people, because it's always felt like, every time I cared about someone, I would just get punished for it. Like that moment you just listened to was basically the last month of my life. I say something in a way that's to be understood by people, and the way I'm phrasing it in order to explain it connects. I never really wanted to you know, be invested in any relationships because I was always scared that
Keeping up.
I would get burned again in the same way. Like, holy shit. Holy shit. What the fuck? I'm gonna rest here. Let's enjoy this. Let's enjoy this serene landscape. Let me take this back. Climb up on this thing. Oh, I was even about to say something, but I completely forgot what it was as I was kind of just distracted with this revelation. God. Yeah, that's. Man, I'm just relaxing right now. Yeah, it's crazy just how much better I've improved, and I really hope someone can glean something that gives them a similar kind of like set of revelations that I have, allowing them to experience new things in life and just improve yourself in all the small ways. Ever since then, I've been doing so much better. I've been caring more about like my hygiene in small ways. Like obviously, you know, everyone showers, everyone's got a shower, and I always did that. But I'm like, you know, I'm gonna treat myself better instead of buying this like $5 shit ass Old Spice body wash thing. That's like shampoo, conditioner, 2-in-1. I always heard that's bad, but it's fucking $5. Who cares? It cleans the hair and it's done. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna buy some nice shampoo and conditioner. God, my hair feels so fucking smooth, and I feel so good about that. You know, buying some nice bed sheets for myself instead of, you know, dealing with this shitty, like $20 mattress set that I've been using. Small things like that have really been helping me feel better, on top of just feeling like I have a new lease on life in a weird way. Even though nothing's really, well, I'm not saying nothing's really changed. It's weird. Like, physically, I'm still me. Oh my god, that's another thing I completely forgot to mention. Dude, so much shit happened within such a short period of time that I genuinely felt disassociated with myself. I couldn't look myself in the mirror. I looked at my hands and I'm like, this isn't me. Because I was at this in-between point of changing so drastically internally, but looking back and thinking, the person I thought I was wasn't me. That really wasn't me. That was a front caused by all of my defense mechanisms. So that felt so weird to get over. And I guess going back to another thing I forgot to mention, going back to some of the dark stuff, like I was in such a dark place that there was one night where I genuinely, like, and this is something that I actually heard from a couple people that they did as well. So I do feel good about this, that it's not weird. That at one point I was in such a bad way, I needed help, but I had no one to help with. That like my brain created like almost a split personality. It wasn't a split personality, but it was like almost like a second character that was fully independent in my head to kind of talk through some stuff, to calm me down just enough to sleep. It only lasted a day. Like it pretty much, like it literally the day after, I tried pulling the same trick, and then I pretty much told myself, "You're on your own, bitch. You can't keep fucking doing this," and then just disappeared. I never heard from that again. It was the weirdest, most surreal shit of my life. But oh my god, it was so wild. But like I said, I'm doing fucking fantastic right now. I say as I slept 45 minutes. And it's currently 6:41 in the morning. But gotta take what life hands you and deal with it the best you can. And obviously no one's gonna be able to do it fine on their own. That is why the last thing I'm gonna say is reach out to someone. A therapist, it's a friend you can hopefully trust. And I totally understand if your situation's different, or if you have people you feel like you can't trust. Some people are genuinely hurt to the point where they feel like they can't trust anyone. And I know people like that, and I understand it's hard.
No one's home.
But I mean, I really can't say anything past that. That's a whole level of difference than what I have thought of, like than what I've had to deal with. I there's always hope. There's always hope, and there's always help. That's the most important thing I can distill. Hopefully this was easy enough to follow, and if anyone actually managed to sit here for the whole, oh my god, hour and a half, holy shit. Thank you. Actually, thank you. It genuinely means a lot that someone stuck through this whole time, even if whether they want to listen to this or not or find this helpful. Like the fact that someone took an hour and a half out of their day to listen to this stuff. Thank you. Have a good day.